All right, everyone, we should be live. Let's make sure that's actually the case over on Rumble, of course. I'm sure that we are. There's 100 people waiting. Chat is moving. And so we've got lots and lots of crazy shit to talk about. It's all politics today. I have a bunch of other stuff that I do want to talk about, but I'm sort of holding it over because some of it's like, let's see, we've got the case of that one chick that got speared by a swordfish in a freak accident and bled out, unfortunately, and died. She was surfing. An Australian woman getting stuck between two boulders trying to get her phone, and all sorts of other stuff. I'm not sure if I'll cover the Tulsi Gabbard defection because it was pretty predictable, but we've got plenty of stuff to talk about here. We've got first the Kamala town hall. It didn't go so well. There are multiple clips from it for a reason. There's a reason why the Trump is Hitler, Trump is a groper sort of thing emerged in the same 24-hour period. They're trying to cover something up. They're trying to gobble up the news cycle. It's not, by the way, working very well. Donald Trump groped me in what felt like a twisted game with Jeffrey Epstein, former model alleges. That's Stacey Williams. Of course, after 30 years, you decided to wait until 2 weeks before this particular election to trot out the allegations. We've seen this a number of times before. We've got new polling. National polling, we've got state polling, we've got everything. And it's almost all flashing red, which must perturb the Kamala Harris camp. Then she decided to say that Trump was, adulating Hitler based on two anonymous sources and several others that were named that have come out and discredited it by saying, I don't know what you're talking about. He never said any such thing. We'll talk about that. And of course, her saying that she believes that Trump is a fascist, which is hysterical. If you know what fascism actually is, of course. Grimvale, should we be worried about battlegrounds and vote counting shenanigans? Yes. Early mail-in voting looks promising, but swing states like Arizona saying it'll take 13 plus days to count is making me nervous. That's Maricopa being Maricopa. They're waiting to see how much Trump wins by so they can find just enough ballots to give the state to Kamala Harris. Thankfully, Arizona is not one of the big states that are in play. Pennsylvania and Georgia and North Carolina are. Trump is currently ahead in North Carolina. As far as Republican ballots return, the Republicans actually have an advantage in North Carolina. This is, by the way, abnormal. Normally, the Democrats run away with it, and then on election day, things even up. That's not happening right now. This should probably be a warning sign for the Kamala campaign and for the Democrats in general. Mr. Baker, have you ever gone to let a fart go, realized it was a shit, and then pulled back, thus saving a pair of boxers? Best feeling ever. No, I've never had that problem. I only shit other than when I was a toddler, I've only shit my pants once, and that was when I was down in southern Texas, and there was some sort of nut or I don't know, legume or something, and it was strongly laxative. And I was warned about this, so it was my fault that it was highly laxative. And I said, well, I just want to taste a little bit. So I took like as much as would fit under your fingernail and nibbled it down. I'm like, that's sort of a nutty flavor. It tastes sort of like an almond. And then a couple of hours later, I shit my pants. And I was waddling to the bathroom. Everyone's laughing their asses off. They thought it was hilarious. I did too, to tell the truth. I have good bowel control generally. Helios ending. Is Earth just a soul harvesting operation? Well, if you've ever seen Matrix, maybe it is. Maybe we're all in an illusion right now. We're actually in alien pods or something being used as battery sources. By the way, Elrond playing an evil character in that particular movie. Matrix, very good. Let's see. Yes, fascism needs authoritarianism to work, says N.O. Dave. You are completely correct. Fascism is effectively a facade-free market. It's like China. It's a facade-free market, and it works on that end. On the economic end, it works wonders. But you have to have heavy-handed state authoritarianism to actually control the situation. China is effectively a fascist nation at this time, for example. Their mixed model economy is fascism. It's the same thing. It's basically exactly modeled on Mussolini. Let's see. What has Kamala Harris been up to over the last couple of days? Oh, she did a town hall on CNN where she was repeatedly combative with people who asked her questions, where she couldn't answer basic substantive policy questions, where she couldn't answer the questions of the moderator. In fact, she couldn't answer anything at all. I would like her to be asked one thing. What is your name? Well, she'll have to refer to her focus group. I think my name is Kamala. Well, is it Harris? Or I don't know exactly. Sometimes we make mistakes. This is basically the way that she's conducted her campaign this entire time. It's a campaign of vacuousness. It's a campaign in which you're deliberately not giving answers because you know that people won't like the answers more than anything else. We've seen this over and over and over again when pressed on even basic issues like, do you support raising taxes? Well, I mean, I'd have to look into it. Tee hee hee. That's basically her answer for everything. It's constant. It's so much that it's impossible to actually attack her because there are so many lies that come out in every 24-hour period. You have to sort of pick and choose which ones you want to focus on. That's Kamala Harris in a nutshell. She's the empty suit candidate. By the way, she would sign the TPP if she's elected, guaranteed. So we would be hemorrhaging millions more middle-class jobs to parts of Southeast Asia if she is elected. That is a guarantee. She won't say it outright, but you know that she agrees with Hillary Clinton in principle on the basic principle. My tax dollars do, says Cam. Yeah, our tax dollars mainly go to bombing third world orphans and then making refugees, and then we pay again when they come into the country. We give them freebies. Julian the Boss sticks. Biden was at plus 11 on election day, the independent vote, and today Trump is plus 1 on Kamala and the independents based off CNN. Can it be more juxto? No, it can't. People need to understand. Don't get blackpilled. Get active. Assume that you're a little bit behind. Go vote. Bring somebody else to vote. Get active. Harvest a couple ballots. Do your civic duty. But don't worry too much. Don't be upset or nervous right now. Don't get blackpilled. Just get active. If you do that, guaranteed Trump wins. RJB917, check your XDMs for a science and ketchup story I sent you this AM. Clank. Ooh, I'll check that. You've got to understand, though, sometimes Twitter does not load my messages very well. Like right now. Something went wrong. Try reloading. And it never loads. You have to go through all sorts of crazy shit. Check your XDMs for a science and ketchup story I sent you this AM. Clank. Yes, I will once the messages actually load. It takes a while. On my phone, they never load at all. It's a real big problem. Maybe I can try. There's always an outside possibility that it loads. Let's see. I've been rope-a-doped into the fucking phone generation, and I fucking hate it. Yeah, it's not loading on there either. Never loads messages. And I seem to be the only one having that problem. And it's on multiple devices, so I'm assuming that Elon just doesn't want me to communicate with my fans or something. Elon, give me a space rocket. Send me up to Mars. I don't care if I come back. That'd be fun. One-way ticket to Mars, and then you just do research for the last few months of your life while eating MREs in your space shuttle. Yeah, you could do worse. Everyone has to die somebody anyway. Mark Darkside Hamill was begging W for an endorsement. Oh, yeah. Yeah, did you see the other day? They were a lot of people were trying to dogpile George W. Bush to endorse Kamala Harris. I don't know how well that would go over with independent voters that happen to be millennials. I don't know that that's necessarily the greatest idea. I mean, I hope he does, because it would show the ass of the uniparty in stark color. So yeah, see, Kamala Harris went on a town hall. This is CNN, so it's a captive news network for her. They've circled wagons multiple times. They clearly want her to be elected. Even their reaction to the town hall and subsequent interviewing was not necessarily positive. They minced words and they said, well, it was Axelrod comes out, well, it was a mixed bag. It was sort of a mixed result. No, it wasn't a mixed result. It was Kamala Harris stalling for time the entire fucking thing. She never wanted to answer anyone's questions. Then they had the problems glasses chick that pretended to be an independent voter asking her a fluff question. She couldn't even answer that. She can't answer literally anything. It's impossible for her unless she has a focus group and a teleprompter. Andrew Van Halen, who was worse, Stalin or Lenin? Stalin more butcherous. Lenin appears to have had some genuine intent, but he did get the ball rolling on what became Stalinism, so I guess they're both equally retarded. I have no love for communism. You may have noticed this over time. So yeah, we've got Kamala's town hall. it's like sometimes you have like a town hall or an event or something, and there's a couple of little quibbles that you have. It doesn't go off without a hitch. In this case, it didn't go off without a hitch. It went off with an absolute disaster. It was a disastrous performance. And I know why Kamala's doing this. She keeps trying to jumpstart her campaign to get that momentum back. You've got less than 2 weeks. That's point number one. And point number two, every time you come out in public, you make mistakes. If I was Kamala Harris, I would hide, honestly. I would give very, very carefully scripted, teleprompted addresses, cut some ads, and then I would call it a day. I would only go to rallies at all if everyone was carefully vetted. Of course, that means you only have like 1,000 people at your rally. Meanwhile, Trump's got a love fest going on. This has been the problem for people opposing Trump this entire time. Their rallies don't make sense. Their appearances don't make sense. Their statements don't make sense. And Kamala Harris does not have the advantage that Biden had, where she can say, well, the reason why only 100 people showed up is because of social distancing. She doesn't have that particular advantage. Yes, I know, delete cache. That doesn't work, actually. I appear to have just been precluded from using Twitter DMs virtually altogether. Eventually it loads them, but I have to go to the home tab. Then I have to refresh, reload the page. Okay, so I've done that. Then I go back to my profile. Then I clear my internet history, which I'm not going to do while I'm live streaming. And then sometimes it'll load. That's basically what I have to go through in order to use them. It's a real big problem. Considering that's my preferred method of communication for news tips, it's a big problem. We've got 2,000 people watching live already. Let's see. Use private window for viewing XDMs. It's a thing with caching, says Formula XFD. Will we get to see Spooky Gal on a live stream again? I'm not going to comment on that. For very obvious reasons. Here's Anton. He's trying to sell you his meat. Swallow Anton's sweet meat. Yeah, get it down your throat, boy. It'll be good. Just like Grandpappy used to make. Now he just needs to get some collard greens going on there. Dried collard greens. Just add boiling water. The Japanese have already, by the way, perfected this. I don't know how the hell they did it, but... Ah, shit, that's right. I've still got those dried Japanese soup vegetables. I need to requisition them and make some soup. They're delicious, by the way. I don't know exactly. I know that they freeze dry it, but I don't know how they maintain the texture exactly how they do. It's exactly like fresh. The Japanese are geniuses. Can't wait to go to Tokyo someday. When my money is built back up, I am going to take a week in Tokyo, I think. One of the few foreign countries other than the Netherlands that I want to visit. Texan Patrick P. Did I already ask if you liked my avatar? Yes, you did yesterday. It's an homage to the Queers for Palestine folks who should all go there for a visit. Shout out King of Biltong. Yeah, Anton's feeding his meat to everyone lately. What's amazing is his stamina. Wasted Bonehead. Good morning from the grave. Ooh. Yeah, Wasted is definitely having his best week of the year because it's almost Halloween. Pre-59 Cuban. Don't get arrested in Tokyo. No, I respect the Japanese people deeply. I want to go to some museums. I want to eat pizza from a vending machine. Apparently, I saw something yesterday. There was a vending machine for every 30 people in Japan or something like that. Yeah, I want pizza from a vending machine. I want to go to one of those weird cat cafes that they have, too. It looks like a fun place to be. You just got to be respectful. You know, unlike certain Americans who have gone there lately and made total asses out of themselves, like for their TikTok bullshit. That's not exactly the sort of thing that I'm into. If I'm in a foreign, I want to eat the actual food. I don't want to go to the touristy places. If I go to Tokyo or to Japan in general, I want to go to some place that like locals eat at. I don't want that fancy shit. Wagyu beef. Okay, if I want Wagyu, I'll get it from Anton. In America, we should have vending machines selling machine guns. I agree with this. Robo Guy, my concerns are Secretary of States in most of the swing states attacking anyone fighting for election integrity, mostly Georgia, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Arizona, Michigan. I think DC Drano mentioned a bit. It is a problem. It's one that we can overcome. We simply have to flood them with so many votes that it's implausible for them to possibly rig the election. Djibouti Lebowski. So Biden stepping down to a diversity hire turns out to be a terrible idea. I warned the liberals, you should stick with Joe Biden. He can at least claw his way back to parity. Kamala Harris was always doomed not to be able to do this. Tomes Esquire. Please discuss the race in New York between Matt Lauer and Mondaire Jones. It has huge implications nationally, and as a Westchester, New York resident, we need Lauer to win desperately. I'll have to look into that one. I haven't checked it out yet. Wasted Bonehead. To celebrate Halloween, I'm going to Flex Seal Sigil's asshole and force feed him Chipotle. Trick or treat, fucker. The feud continues. Donald Trump groped me in what felt like a twisted game with Jeffrey Epstein, former model alleges. Of course, 2 weeks before the election. This timing is entirely coincidental, I assure you. Stacey Williams says the ex-president, whose spokesperson denied the allegations, touched her in an unwanted sexual way in 1993 after Epstein introduced them. So back when I was 5 years old, Donald Trump was supposedly groping this chick up. And of course, Epstein is involved, who didn't kill himself. Meanwhile, you have pictures of people very close to Kamala Harris literally chilling with Ghislaine Maxwell, but you don't overlook that. That's a conspiracy theory. This one is totally true. This is from The Guardian. Stacey Williams, who worked as a professional model in the 1990s, said she first met Trump in 92 at a Christmas party after being introduced to him by Epstein, who she believed was a good friend of the then New York real estate developer. Good friend. Yeah, before people knew that he was a pedo and Trump kicked him out of all of his hotels and properties. Williams said Epstein was interested in her and the two casually dated for a period of a few months. In other words, they fucked. It became very clear that he and Donald were really, really good friends and spent a lot of time together. Oh, doesn't this read like a goddamn hit piece? I wonder why. The alleged groping occurred some months later in the late winter or early spring of 93 when Epstein suggested during a walk that he and Williams stopped by to visit Trump at Trump Tower. Epstein was later convicted on sex offenses and killed himself in prison in 2019. Sure he did. Yeah, we all believe that. Moments after they arrived, she alleges, Trump greeted Williams, pulled her towards him, and started groping her. She said he put his hands all over my breasts, as well as her waist and her buttocks. She said she froze because she was deeply confused about what was happening. At the same time, she said she believed she saw the two men smiling at each other. Sure, Stacey. We believe this, especially because of the timing. Carolyn Leavitt, the press secretary for Donald Trump's campaign, provided a statement denying the allegations, which said in part these accusations, made by a former activist for Barack Obama, fact check true, and announced on a Harris campaign call 2 weeks before the election, also fact check true, are unequivocally false. It's obvious this fake story was contrived by the Harris campaign. We've seen this before. We saw the Clinton campaign doing the op research with the Steele dossier. Why should I take this seriously? Is there any particular reason? No. Well, I mean, these accusations have been made a dozen times before. Williams said that Trump sent her an agent a postcard via courier later in 93, an aerial view of the Mar-a-Lago, his Palm Beach residence and resort. She shared it with The Guardian. In his handwriting, using what appears to be his usual black Sharpie, he wrote, Stacey, you're home away from home. Love, Donald. That's clearly evidence that he, raped her or something. Williams, who is 56 and a native of Pennsylvania, has shared parts of her allegation on social media posts in the past, but revealed details on the alleged encounter on a call on Monday organized by a group called Survivors for Kamala, which supports Democratic presidential nominee Kamala Harris. Totally unbiased. There's no animus here whatsoever. It's more like, here's this young, attractive individual. She probably got flirty with Donald, and maybe they pawed each other a little bit, made out or something like that. I mean, he was a playboy at the time, admittedly. And now she's saying, I want to cash in on this because now I'm old. I can no longer do the modeling thing. The Zoom call featured actor Ashley Judd and law professor and academic Anita Hill, among others. Survivors for Kamala also took out an ad in the New York Times this week, signed by 200 survivors of sexual and gender violence, which was meant to serve as a reminder that Trump has been found liable for sexual abuse in a court. Okay, so 199 of them, it has nothing to do with Donald Trump. So who cares? I'm scratching my head thinking, how is this even an attack line? After the alleged incident, Williams said she and Epstein left Trump Tower and she began to feel Epstein growing angry at her. Jeffrey and I left, so she went with him, just to be clear, and he didn't look at me or speak to me, and I felt this seething rage around me. And when we got down to the sidewalk, he looked at me and just berated me and said, "Why did you let him do that?" She said on the Zoom call. "He made me feel so disgusting. I remember being so utterly confused," she said. She described how the alleged incident seemed to her to be a part of a twisted game. Or maybe it's, this never happened. You probably did get groped up by Epstein because he seems to have touched everything, from ages 5 to 50 in his presence. And that's really the problem. But then you decided that you wanted to get money off of the entire incident. Not going to get much money off of Epstein's estate since it's already, to my knowledge, been completely liquidated. So, Sigil. Jesus Christ, Rumble chat is all fucked up today. Not functioning in browser, barely on the app. Working on GrayJ. Rumble users use GrayJ. Rants don't work on GrayJ though. And I've got my Triumph the Insult comic dog costume ready to go for Halloween. Bonehead is the best for me to poop on. I know Triumph the Insult comic dog. Wasted Bonehead. Bones, 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 bones. King of Biltong. Testing Rants on Firefox. You're using Firefox? God, use Opera. Messiah. It's insane people actually fall for this. She had, but there's actually a lot who do, especially on Reddit. She had 30 years and 2 elections. Yeah, why didn't she come out before? Wasted Bonehead. Pooh. There's a lot of shit going on in my chat. Crusader Capitalist. Clankers, please consider donating to Trump's campaign. More ads in blue wall states help us get the popular vote. I already donated $200 to the Trump campaign. Stomach Turning Thrush. I live in Tokyo. Please do a fan meet when here. Hell yeah. I would love that. I can't wait to see Japan. Oh, real authentic sushi. I don't want it from some touristy place, though. I want the fresh caught shit. I want some of that sea urchin sushi. And apparently they make whale sushi, actually, as well. Can't get it here, that's for sure. Let's see. Franzison. Parents went to visit Vermont last weekend because of fall. They love the nature aspect of it, but they believe the food was meh. Depends on where you go. Next time they come, ask me for recommendations, especially if they're in the Rutland area. Felix Fanboy Rico. Give a shout out to Andrew German. Kissy face. Okay. Andrew German, you get a shout out. Since your last name is German, they'll probably try to call me a Nazi. Being honest, Trump does seem to have some supernatural something that seems to shield him and enacts karma. What do you make of this? Because it's weird. Yes, I believe that that's true, actually. Robo Guy. I don't know if it will, but considering New Jersey had one of the biggest rallies at one point, and with the upcoming Madison Square Garden rally, would be funny if he wins New Jersey, where I'm from, and New York. That won't happen, but it'll be closer than in past elections. The Democrats will be, they'll be afraid because they're like, oh shit, next election, New York might actually be a swing state. Sigilstone. Opera is cringe and probably spyware. Use an open source browser like Brave. Brave is good as well. Cooking Inferno. I finally made it to the big leagues. Got me turned in the farms while being associated with you. Yeah. Those poor people. Wasted Bonehead. Sticks. I make the best bone broth. Just don't ask where I got the bones. Also, shout out Sigil since he got banned on Twitter again. Goes by Sigil Spooky right now. Goodness. We're going to look at some polls. Then we'll do our sponsors, of course. We have many, many polls. Finally, things are picking up, although I wish I had more Virginia polling. I think that it'll be closer than they expect. National, Trump v. Harris, Wall Street Journal. Trump +3. National, Trump v. Harris. CNBC, Trump +2. National, Trump v. Harris. TIPP, which is tacked in a left-wing direction. Harris +3. So, yeah, breaking about even there, which is not what Kamala wants to see, by the way. Pennsylvania, Trump +1 and +1, variously Franklin, Marshall, and Emerson. Emerson in Wisconsin, Trump +1. North Carolina, Emerson, Trump +2. North Carolina, Marist, Trump +2. Arizona, Marist, Trump +1. Georgia, Marist, tie. South Dakota, Trump +27. I don't know why they even bothered polling it. That's from today. The other day, Georgia, Trump v. Harris from Bloomberg, Trump +2. Now, keep in mind, Bloomberg does not like Trump. They've made this fairly clear. North Carolina, Trump +1. Pennsylvania, Harris +2. Wisconsin, you got 2 polls, Bloomberg and Quinnipiac, both showing a tie. If you're tied in Wisconsin for Trump, that's actually pretty damn good. Michigan +3 for Harris, and another a +4 from Quinnipiac. A tie in Arizona, according to Bloomberg. Harris +1 in Nevada. Florida +8 for Trump. Texas +7. Those aren't even close. They shouldn't even bother polling for them. I wish the polling firms would actually focus on states that are actually in play. If it's more than a 5-point gap consistently for an extended period of time, don't bother fucking polling them at all. Texas and Florida will go for Trump. Ohio will go for Trump. Minnesota should be polled for, though. That's within that 5-point margin. Let's see. Sigil, I was banned from Twitter again, this time for saying I'd kill anime fanboys. Don't insult cartoon bussy on Twitter. Refollow me at SigilSpooky17, friends. Yeah, you're not supposed to threaten to kill groups of people. Unless you're a Democrat. If you're far left, you're allowed to do that, and nobody has a problem with it, apparently. Mike the Womp. I feel RFK Jr. joining did more for Orange Man than Rogan podcast, but will still be good. I can't wait to see the fallout from the Rogan podcast. I'm sure right now, liberal commentators are already seizing on Joe Rogan the extremist, Joe Rogan far right, Joe Rogan anti-vax, and stuff like that. They're already writing the articles as we speak. There needs to be a countermand to this. People that are supportive of Trump need to pre-write parts of their articles to get them out as quickly as possible. Flood the news cycle. Drown them. The Emperor's Champion. How do you think leftoids will react when Trump wins? If Trump wins. It is likely. It is not certain. It depends on turnout, which is why I've encouraged people, go harvest a ballot, vote early, but show up on election day too. With that reluctant friend, that reluctant relative, just fucking do it. They will react by burning down Wendy's and all the other normal stuff that they do. Wendy's. I got a bunch of snacks on hand, including the healthy ones. I'm thinking maybe I want to order out tonight. Now, the Sumerian, my girlfriend loves my bone broth. Yeah. Served up hot, sweet, and sticky. Big Willie style. Sigil Stone, femboys, not fanboys, not actual people, degenerate goon shit in Japanese cartoons. I don't give a fuck about that. I'm no moralist. I don't give a shit if they have femboys or cat ladies or whatever they have in their cartoons. Anime can be pretty cool. I'm no moralist. Wasted Bonehead. Wait, no. Shout out me. I advocate no violence unless in self-defense. Is that how you died and became a skeleton zombie? Were you killed violently? Cooking Inferno. The funny part, I don't even have an account there. Just checked in and found a reference to my rants to you. Some folks need lives. Yeah, I could do a rant about that, but I'm going to wait until the current situation dies down, and then I'll probably do a 1-hour video on the subject. Sigil Stone, don't follow Bonerhead, follow me. I advocate high-impact sexual violence. Yeah. Reminds me of Fight Club, actually, that I watched the other day for the first time. By the way, 10 out of 10 fucking movie. There are probably some of you out there that haven't seen it yet. I regret the fact that I didn't see it sooner because it was fucking hilarious. And it's one hell of a mind bender, Jesus. You think Matrix is deep, watch Fight Club. Here's Kamala. He's making another post. And she shouldn't have made it, by the way. Well, actually, let me get my sponsors first. I'll get to the sponsors. Then I'll do Kamala's retardation. We have cultivated-mind.com, where you can get mushroom pills like these ones. I take one every single morning. Sometimes I take a second. It boosts my productivity. It does give me more energy. This is an anecdote. Disclaimer, of course, not FDA approved. It has reishi and other things in it. Chaga, lion's mane, and cordyceps. Oh, this one has oyster extract as well. Mushroom pills. Mycology is fascinating. Pumpkinfirecrafts.us, where you can get keychains, belt chains, bookmarks, important for the bibliophile in your life, all with the Ouroboros logo, of course, engraved spoons, glassware, and much more. BiltongUSA.com. Anton will feed you his meat if you ask him to. You've got bison, you've got kangaroo, you've got cabanasi, which is a beef pork mix. You've got Angus, Wagyu, everything under the sun. You've also got teas, crackers, cookies, and all sorts of other things, as well as Stick, Sex, and Hammer tumblers, mugs, and shirts. WickedNeedleEmbroidery.BigCartel.com, where you can get Stick, Sex, and Hammer hats. Several styles and colors are available. Everyone should have a hat. You know, the sun is glaring overhead, especially here when snow falls. You don't want to go snowblind. Get a Stick, Sex, and Hammer hat. You'll be in style. HeritageHeirloomSeedCompany.com, where you can get a seed survival bucket. Again, some of the vegetables back here, the Turk's turbans, came out really, really well. They are fully edible, and they'll last for months, actually. They got a nice thick skin. They are delicious, by the way. Almost as good as butternut. Also, you can get Styx Hexenhammer soap branded there as well. They've got other soaps available as well, but I'm partial to the cedar, clove, and blueberry mix myself. Webster'sWares.com/Styx-Wares. You can get metal straws with the little Ouroboros logo on them, so you can save a sea turtle from having to get it extracted from its nose, like that one video from like 10 years ago that was honestly sad. You've also got knives, you've got beanies, you've got coats, all sorts of cool stuff from Webster's Wares. They've also got Trump paraphernalia, so grab it now because it's going to be too late soon. Jamnbean.com, that is JAMNbean.com, the land of Styx Hexenhammer endorsed coffee, especially the Clank blend. It is the best coffee that I've ever had. No offense to the quartering. Coffee brand coffee is very good, but I have to stick with Jam and Bean because I have brand loyalty. Now that I've sucked that down a few times, I never want any other coffee again. They've also got teas available, and they are very good. Lots of herbal teas, various blends. So yeah, we'll talk about Kamala in a minute here. And she's gone crazy. Let's see. Wasted. Followers of Sigil Stone are 9 times more likely to get pooed on. Just saying. Formula XFD. One curious fan theory is that Fight Club is a delusion of the protagonist who is dealing with emasculation from having testicular cancer. Hey, it actually fits when you think about it. Yeah. God, I'll have to look into that. Sigil Stone. Enemies of Sigil Stone are 90 times more likely to get pooed on. Do not choose poorly. Texan Patrick P. Yo, Styx, say, Iesus Christus Dominus. Ha! That means Jesus Christ is Lord. I know you ain't a Christian, but I love you as one myself. Keep up the good work. Yeah, I have no problem with Christianity. Toxic Mix. What are your thoughts on some of the accelerationist arguments, such as more people might get red-pilled if Harris wins? My thinking, the risks of deep state consolidation in a hot war are too high for acceleration to matter. I agree with you. I think that's basically people pretending to be on the right and or populist and or liberty loving that are actually liberals that are trying to stanch out elements of the vote. I think that's shenanigans. The Retro Futurist 76. Hope to get big enough for Jeremy and Styx to notice. I just noticed you now. Don't worry about it, my dude. I've made my brand off of actually giving a damn and interacting with people. I do not care about your audience size. The only thing that I have to prioritize with regards to engagement size and audience size is like interviews and stuff like that. That's the only, and I have to do that for pragmatic reasons. I've got 24 hours in the day like anyone else. So I have to do what I can for my brand. But as far as interacting with people, I don't give a shit if you get 1 subscriber. And that 1 subscriber is your bot account, yeah? You know, I started off with nothing as well back in 2007. So, you know, I wasn't well known. Robo Guy, I always wanted to visit Japan. It, along with Italy, were my top international spots. Definitely Tokyo, but there's a village with a horror anime is based on that I want to visit. Shirakawago, I think. Is that where The Grudge was based, maybe? Good movie, by the way. Really, really creepy. The Grudge was pretty great. I think they made a sequel. I don't know if I've seen it. Yeah, The Grudge was... I like that part where the chick's in the train and there's that old fat dude saying Heidi, 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 ha, or something like that over and over again. I don't know. Sigil Stone, the Fight Club pro tag. I don't think he's ever actually named. Didn't have cancer. He had severe insomnia and lost his mind from lack of sleep. Tyler was his dream of what he wanted to be. Yeah, that is one weird fucking movie. I won't give any spoilers, but you should watch Fight Club. 10 out of 10 movie. And it's not very often that I find a movie that's a 10 out of 10. I tend to be a little bit picky with regards to a film. Felix Fanboy Rico, do you believe in signs and synchronicities? Yes. Absolutely. Let's see what Kamala has to say now. Is it coherent or incoherent? Let's hedge our bets. I put down my entire fucking life savings on it being something incoherent. Oh, well, I just doubled my money. The American people deserve a leader who maintains certain standards about the role and responsibility of the President of the United States. You know, unlike Biden pooping his pants on. Certainly not comparing oneself in a clearly admiring way to Hitler. The thing is that this is an uncorroborated statement reported originally, I believe, by The Guardian, replicated by The Atlantic, in which two unnamed sources claim that Donald Trump adulates Adolf Hitler, and several actual name sources have already come out and said that it never happened. So this is, again, 11th hour, pretend October surprise shenanigans. The problem for the liberals is this. You've already said that Donald Trump admires Hitler, wants to be Hitler, wants his generals to be like Nazi generals, et cetera, et cetera. You've already blown your load. A man can only blow his load so many times in a certain amount of space. He can only ejaculate a certain number of times over the course of a 24-hour period. You've been sitting there jelking yourself off for years. You are empty. There's nothing coming out right now. There's not even pre-cum coming out at this point. The liberals, the Democratic Party, have busted a nut so hard and so often for so long that basically it looks like a diseased vulture down there. And they don't have any ammo left to expend. So what are they doing? They circle back around Psaki style and they just start rambling about Adolf Hitler. They tried to say that he was Hitler, Stalin, and Mussolini at the same time, actually, just last week. People looked at it and said, well, this is hilarious. You know, you've told us this before. It's like the boy that cried wolf. Hitler, Hitler, Hitler. Trump is going to be like Hitler. Trump's going to be a dictator. Trump's going to take us down the dark path of Nazism. He's going to be a fascist. None of these, that's funny. He had executive power for 4 years and none of these things ever actually happened. If anything, he was an anti-dictator. He was the chief executive that was constantly shackled by his own legislature, including his own Republicans. Where exactly is the dictatorship? I don't know. Kamala assures me, though, that if Donald Trump wins, he's going to, Rommel will be back. Joseph Goebbels will be the press secretary. I don't know. I press X'd it out. Cooking Inferno. Bro, seriously, watch Werner Herzog's remake of Nosferatu. Seriously beautiful film, as well as being a great vampire story. I'll have to look at it. I like vampire movies. Pre-59 Cuban, for your Japan travel fund. Thank you. It probably won't be until next year, or possibly the year after, but I do intend to go there. This next year, I'm taking it easy and staying local. The only travel that I have planned is Hampton Beach, because Hampton Beach is fucking great. Go slightly in the off season, a little bit before or after all the tourists come. You go to Northampton, you got the beach to your fucking self. There's like 2 other people in Northampton. Maybe I'll do a meet and greet. We'll have like a clanker meetup or something like that. We'll go to Ray's. Oh yeah, Ray's Seafood. But I'm going to force you all to eat the seafood chowder. Unless you're allergic, then you can eat whatever the fuck you want. Sigilstone, you like trippy movies? Watch Dark City. That's a fucking trip. Yeah, I like the Pink Floyd's The Wall, actually. Or the original, like, cartoon version of Alice in Wonderland. Or Yellow Submarine, the Beatles movie that got panned at the time but is a cult classic. I watched it on LSD. It hits different. Texan Patrick P. If, God forbid, Kamala wins, will she rename the Oval Office to the egg-shaped office? P.S. She is dumb and an anchor baby, I think, and her hubby is violent. Yeah, her husband allegedly has done some weird shit. That came out with Irmhoff, actually, today. But that's been covered up in the news cycle. Not without good reason. Eli, hey, Sticks, what are your thoughts on North Korean troops being deployed in Ukraine? Apparently 8 have reportedly been killed. I don't necessarily believe those reports until they're corroborated. I think it's a dangerous escalation. It shows that Russia may be under some strain with regards to manpower. I guess the idea is put North Korean troops there and the West won't want to bombard them because then maybe they get into a dual war or something like that. North Korea has been supplying shells and stuff like that to the Russian side. I don't know. It's not really a huge escalation. Kamala Harris says, yes, she thinks Trump is a fascist, showing again her ignorance of the term. In a CNN town hall style event, the Democratic presidential nominee homed in on reports from former Trump aides about his authoritarian tendencies. Woo! But of course, this is from the HuffPo. Yes, I do, the Democratic presidential nominee said when moderator Anderson Cooper asked if she agreed with a recent characterization by his former White House Chief of Staff John Kelly that Trump fits the definition of a fascist. Here's what fascism is. Fascism is far leftism with a shroud of free market capitalism. Here's how you do fascism, Mussolini style or Kamala style or China style. You have a heavy-handed, very hierarchical, centralized authoritarian structure. It exhibits limitless power, but you back off as long as those privatized entities are doing their job, making a profit, and towing the goddamn line. You haven't spoken out against us. You've spoken in praise of us. You haven't stepped out of line. We're going to allow you to abuse workers. We're going to allow you to destroy the environment. We don't give a fuck what you do. Grease local officials' hands and make sure to pay lip service to the all-knowing and all-powerful Communist Party. And then you can do basically whatever you want. I would note that this project effectively for economic purposes has worked very well. Most of China's growth is in that pseudo-private sector. It's not in the government-sponsored sector. There was a graph, I saw it years ago, and it compared centralized funding versus non-centralized funding for projects and for developments and things like that, and talking about the return. It was more than twice the rate of return in that pseudo-free market. China has learned from the best. They've realized that what they need to do is have a pseudo-free market. This is what Jack Ma unfortunately experienced. He was allowed latitude to do whatever he wanted. He comes out and he speaks out tacitly against a couple of minor policies from the Communist Party. All of a sudden, he disappears for a month. And then he comes back looking 10 pounds lighter and is very, very much in respect of Xi Jinping. As long as you do what we tell you, you can make all the money in the world. But if you do something we tell you not to do, then you get gulag. You get struggle session. That's basically fascism in a nutshell. China has it. The United States is moving towards it now. If anything, the unipartyist neoliberalism is much closer to that. If you're a big corporation, you get government grants, you get government subsidies, you can do whatever you want. We will shield you. We'll give you money. We'll make sure you have legal and protection, judiciary protection. You can do whatever you want. It's the small businesses that get fucked. This is what the TPP would accomplish, by the way, cross-Pacific. It's the same basic principle. It's fascism. It's literal fascism. Dictionary, textbook definition fascism. But they would rather say that a person who believes in actual free markets and trade, lower taxes, and not starting wars, he's the fascist. Very, very interesting. Let's see. Texan Patrick P. You should watch Ari Shafir's You Be Trippin' Pod, funny travel podcast with interesting guests. Rob Lowe did it once. Sounds cool. And he became a monthly supporter. Thank you, Texan Patrick. Thank you, Patrick. Sigil Stone, how would NK troops in Ukraine even work? They're either going in with their shitty 1960s weapons against modern Western hardware, or they've been given newer Russian weapons. Either way, they'll be like, what the fuck? Probably the latter. Lanny242. It was my first year growing winter squash to store. I grew honey nut and ayote green flesh. They took over my beds. I highly recommend the ayote. It has papaya notes when eaten raw and is so sweet roasted. Sounds good. I think I'm going to stick with some Turk's turban because it's decorative and it's tasty. And then some acorn squash. I mean, butternut squash. That's my favorite. Kathleen Green, take my shekels, you long-haired hippie. It will grow longer. 10.2 more inches. Joe, have you heard the story that Trump and Barron are going to usher in the Antichrist by helping Israel make the next temple or something? It's from the 20s. Yeah, that's not going to happen. Andrew Van Halen, have you seen the Peter Sellers Pink Panther movies? Yes, long ago. I don't remember much about them, but I remember liking them as a kid. Felix Fanboy Rico, they did this R-word nonsense to Kavanaugh. These tactics are boring and almost too conveniently timed like Cough 19. Drag out another Stormy. Exactly. The Happy Plague Doctor. Best Peter Sellers movie is The Magic Christian. As Ringo Starr in it. Ringo. John Paul George and Ringo, you mean? I've got a hole in me pocket. What are you talking about, Ringo? I'm on acid. You ever seen that Mad TV skit? Never mind. No, the best Peter Sellers is when he was in Dr. Strangelove, actually. He played 3 roles in that movie. The president is also Dr. Strangelove. And I can't remember the third role that he played. The British captain there. Mikuhuntu, jack him off. Sorry, I don't do that for free. Kamala. She does, as long as you advance her career. That's the problem. Joe, do you think life with DNA is the norm in the universe? Like a law of the only way of life can persist? What if everywhere life is with DNA we know? I'm sure that there's life out there that's not DNA based, like in the double helix structure. Could be RNA based life, could be silicon based life, many other things. Anything that can store and retrieve information. I'm sure the AI will be working on creating life forms that do not have DNA bases. Sumerian, what's the main difference between communism and fascism? Puristic communism, as communists define it, is statelessness. Share and share alike. It'll never be, okay? It's a utopian ideology. It can't be accomplished. Communism in practice is generally heavy-handed authoritarianism at the economically centralistic level, tending to branch out into moralism as well. You create sort of a state moral system. You have to, otherwise you can't control the money. And if you don't control the money, you can't control the morals. So it becomes just an authoritarian system writ large. Fascism is a facade of freedom. It's even worse than puristic communism, actually. Fascism is arguably the worst system of all, because at least for some individuals within society, there's the illusion of freedom. If you step out of line, you find out how quickly that illusion fades. With brutalistic communism like Stalinism, there's no illusion. You know that you're going to get gulagged if you say the wrong thing. With fascism, you get lured into thinking, well, I'm free. Yeah, I'm free. I make loads of money, go to the factory, buy the things that I want, but you're still a slave. You can only do that within a certain framework, and other people have created the framework. That's the uniparty that we see in the United States right now, unfortunately, light mode, basically. In China, you've got the absolutist mode. In the United States, you have fascism light. Chris Crow, butternut squash for the win. Yeah. Oh, I can't wait till Thanksgiving. I wonder what I'm going to cook this year. I want to do a couple of the side dishes at least. I need to up my Thanksgiving game. I think I'll do like the buttery honey glazed carrots. I do good carrots, by the way. Then I'll make, I don't know. Maybe I'll do the potatoes again. I did that last year, and they come up nice and heavily whipped, nice and creamy and fluffy. The Swamp Cleaner, Stacey said he'd order out after bringing up Wendy's, and later you imitated SpongeBob. Wendy's has a Krabby Patty burger for a limited time. It's pretty good. I'll skip that. Honestly, I like Burger King the best of the shitty ass like takeout restaurants. McDonald's is okay. Five Guys is good, but that's on the edge of fast food anyway. It takes a little bit longer. I will say Five Guys has the best fries. They're a little bit more expensive as a result of their slightly higher quality. I don't really eat that sort of thing, though, on a general basis. And pizza once in a while, occasionally like McDonald's. Otherwise, I prefer to prepare my own food, or, my parents cook, other people around me cook. Sometimes I'll just have soup from a can or something. Yeah, I get lazy. Sigilstone. You see the stats that allegedly North Korea is having more kids than South Korea. If true, the most brutal dictatorship known to man is more conducive to human flourishing than female empowerment. Well, when you have nothing to do for entertainment other than fuck, I'm assuming you have more kids. Cooking Inferno, roasted carrots and parsnips, man. Best Thanksgiving veggie side. I love parsnips. I am the only one here that does. Turnips, at least my dad will help eat those. I insist on some Purple Globe turnips. Texan Patrick P. If I wasn't currently stuck in New Mexico, I would love to teach you Linux and maybe some programming basics. Good luck teaching me the latter. I'd love to get a computer and install Linux on it, though. Yeah, if you're in North Korea, think about what you've got for entertainment. You can go to the theater, assuming that you're allowed to go in. You've got enough social credit points. The United States is moving towards this too. Weed is apparently fully legal there, so you can get stoned. I'm assuming that it's not exactly high-grade hydro, but at least you can get stoned, and you can fuck. You're not going to enjoy your meal tonight because it's probably just a bowl of rice with maybe, if you're lucky, a single piece of beef in it. But you work 60 hours a week, 6 days a week, 10 hours a day. And what are you going to do at the end of the day? You have an orgasm and then fall asleep, basically, and then rinse and repeat tomorrow. Once a year, they give you a little piece of meat, apparently, there. This is the allegation in celebration of Kim Jong-un. Thing is, I would love to see North Korea. There are some really spectacular sights to see there. I wouldn't dare to travel there. I'm not fucking crazy. I'd travel to Russia, though. Somehow, I don't think that the Russians would have a problem with me. No, I don't give a fuck about your war. Give me some borscht. I do believe, I know I might wax a little bit odd here. I actually agree with Andrew Zimmerman when it comes to food diplomacy. I think that people can come together by enjoying one another's cuisine, actually, culturally. Ubuntu is Linux for speds. Well, I'm a little bit of a sped, so, you know. I was in the sped shed in high school. I know what the short bus is like. Kathleen Green, with your leftover Thanksgiving dinner, make turkey pot pies, but for the sauce, use the turkey gravy and the cranberry sauce as a topping. So good. I make a good cranberry sauce, homemade from raw cranberries. That's the other thing that I'll make. I'll make my very, very good cranberry sauce. I like it on the tart side. Some people like it really, really sweet and gelatinous. I like it to be more like, I like the actual skins to still be in there, just broken apart a little bit. And then I like it tart. Sweet tart, basically. Sweet and sour. That's the way to do it. Oh, you combine that with turkey? Oh, yeah. Sigil Stone, if you don't know, one of South Korea's leading parties, the leader, I think, is a moon goddess worshipping feminism cult whose members routinely murder baby boys. I'm not shitting you. I did see that, actually. That was years ago that was revealed. There's a literal cult in South Korea. And yes, it is a literal moon goddess worshipping cult. Fact check, 100% true. I think some people got in trouble for that, actually. Yeah, I make a good cranberry sauce. I make really, really good fucking mashed potatoes. And I'm really good at making carrots as well. And roast them up. You got to caramelize that the sugariness into them. You don't need a lot of it because carrots are already kind of sweet anyway. Cooking Inferno. Sorry, bro. The canned jelly cranberry sauce is best. Nope. Now, after having made my own, I can honestly say I make much better cranberry sauce than anything you're going to get in a can. King of Biltong. Add some biltong to your diet as a high-protein snack alternative, packed with B12, zinc, iron, creatine, and more. Get yourself some at biltongusa.com. Sticks 10 for 10% off. Try our dried sausage. Yum. Look out, stomach, here it comes. Get to the chopper. It's not a tumor. Don't make me start quoting Arnold. BW, it is so stupid they're pulling this BS groping claim now. People can't be this dumb. No, people, if anything, I think it backfires. I think people are like, okay, that's, come on, dude. Yeah, I'll make a homemade cranberry sauce. I'll do some sugar glazed carrots. I use maple in those. And then I'll do the nice whipped up mashed potatoes. We also got to put some potatoes in with the turkey, along with the onions and shit. Turnips. By the way, one thing that I do not like that's a traditional Thanksgiving staple, green bean casserole. I've only had a good green bean casserole once in my life. Ray Pistolburn, which result do you think will lead to more civil unrest? Kamala losing or Trump losing? Kamala losing, actually. And she probably will. Sigil, one of South Korea's prime ministers, was forced to resign because she was a member of the cult. That's how it blew up in the news. That and the baby killing. Yeah, I saw that. That was weird. Revan UPL, best meat to eat by far is moose meat. I've never had moose. I've had elk and kangaroo and ostrich and buffalo and all sorts of crazy shit, but I've never had moose meat. I'd try it, though. I've had bear. I've had seal, I've had whale, I've had wild boar, I've had crocodile, I've had alligator. I've had pretty much everything except for moose. And here I am living in northern New England in a swampy area. Aquafan. Having my first world premiere next Tuesday, I composed a sonata for tuba euphonium ensemble, and it is being performed by the University of Central Florida Tuba Euphonium Ensemble on October 29th. Congratulations to you. If you can get a recording to that and DM me, I'd like to see it. Yeah, I'd like to try moose. I'd like to try squirrel at some point too, but I don't have the heart to kill them myself. Joe, what do you think the odds are that Iran has nukes? I don't think that they have the nuke yet. If they're going to develop anything, it'd be a primitive atomic weapon. They wouldn't be able to put it on a missile, though, so I'm not particularly scared of them. We hear this, we've heard it since 1994 when the Israelis first came out and said, well, Iran's like 6 months away from getting a nuke. Since then, have they made any considerable progress? No. Apparently, this morning, one of their nuclear facilities was hit by a hack and is on fire, I think. Let me check that. Let me fact check this. Or is that just bullshit? Fire erupts at Iran's Karaj nuclear power plant. Interesting how that happens so coincidentally. Anyway, send more, no more super chats, please. Because I've got to go offline at some point here. Tomorrow is Friday. Joe, dude, watch Chef Jean-Pierre. Best cooking channel in town and the best cooking channel around. I like Tasting History with Max Miller or Townsend's. I like the independent content. Sigilstone. Did you see Short Fat Otaku made a video called Here's How Trump Tried to Steal the 2020 Election with Evidence? The evidence includes the lie that Trump called off the National Guard. Dude got TDS. Many such cases. Texan Patrick, did you ever see the short-lived Disney's Gummy Bears cartoon series in the 80s? Yes. P.S. All I eat is meat, rice, beans, potatoes, and booze. Trying to lay off the latter. Probably a good idea. Yes, I liked the Gummy Bears. I thought that was a fun series when you're a little kid. But now it would be annoying. I prefer David the Gnome. Plaguewin, what's the odds that Trump wins? They refuse to certify to usher in civil war, to enact martial law, to revoke our rights, and push us into one world government. Pretty low because it wouldn't work. They would lose. Yeah, so I'm going to go offline here, and I'll be back tomorrow with more news. I've already got a full docket anyway already, so I'll figure it out. And then I've still got to do another news crawl. So there's going to be plenty of good shit, I'm sure. Remember, the election's close. We got a week till Halloween, and then 6 days until the election. So this is going to be a busy week. And tomorrow, remember, Trump is on Joe Rogan. So yeah, things are going to be busy for a couple of weeks here. I'm going to do the best that I can to bring you all the hard-hitting news. Yes, indeed. I thank you to the nearly 4,000 people who tuned in live. I will be back tomorrow with more. That's about all. Peace out.